There's no seat for a high school graduate like you. You just eat standing.
The condescending voice of my boss boomed through the bar hosting our team dinner.
Oh, since this is both your welcome party and your reflection session, give your self-introduction and apology standing up. You know, it's a rule in our department to do it in French. Though I guess that's impossible for someone who didn't go to college.
Clearly, he was determined to humiliate me in front of everyone. My boss and the CEO's spoiled daughter enjoyed belittling me together. However, I had a plan for a comeback. I'm Kim, a 33-year-old working at a food company. Since I am still single, my colleagues jokingly call me Kimmy from home, teasing that I still live with my parents. Come on, I've been living on my own for over a decade. Last year, I decided to move back in with my parents because my dad had returned from an overseas assignment. Sure, it's nice not paying rent and having mom take care of the housework, but I can't shake the feeling they're subtly pressuring me to get married. Well, they're just worried about their daughter still being single in her 30s. Recently, I got some great news. After 10 years at the company, I finally landed the role I'd been hoping for in the product planning department. My parents were thrilled for me, but also a little disappointed. They said this probably meant no grandkids anytime soon. On my first day in the new department, I tied my hair back, put on a brand new navy suit, and headed to work. Instead of a warm welcome, I found myself facing the harsh reality of my boss and the CEO's daughter.
Good morning. I'm looking forward to working with you.
I greeted my boss, Mitchell, as a sign of respect.
Oh, sure. I didn't think we'd get someone with just a high school diploma like you, Kim. Looks like a rough road ahead.
Well, yes, I only have a high school diploma, but I'm full of enthusiasm and…
Mitchell's words momentarily caught me off guard, but I placed my hand on my chest to show my determination.
I see you're motivated. That's great. But first, I've got a task for you, Kim.
Okay, I'm ready to do anything.
This comes straight from the CEO, Mr. Williams. You know his daughter Charlotte, right?
Yes, of course. What about her?
She'll be working in our department starting today, and Mr. Williams has assigned you as her mentor.
Are you serious?
This had to be nepotism. Even our company wasn't immune to it. I froze, stunned by the news. Charlotte, the CEO's daughter, was at least 10 years younger than me. She was spoiled, arrogant, and treated employees like her personal servants. I'd heard plenty of rumors like that. I had a bad feeling about this.
Don't get the wrong idea. You're not really her mentor. You're just her errand girl because you're a high school graduate.
Excuse me? Oh, understood.
Mitchell kept repeating high school graduate, which irritated me, but I forced a polite smile. I didn't want to stir up trouble on my first day. I wasn't sure why Mr. Williams nominated me, but I'd heard this was only temporary. I could endure anything for a month.
Good morning. Mitchell, is this Kim? She looks like an old lady. This is ridiculous.
Charlotte's shrill voice pierced the room as she walked in. She was 5 minutes late. Twisting a lock of her curled brown hair around her forefinger, she strolled up to me.
I apologize if this disappoints you, but unfortunately, this is Kim. She's the only high school graduate in the department, but Mr. Williams put her in charge of you.
Wait, why should someone uneducated and useless like her teach me anything? This is the worst.
The mentor role is just for show. Feel free to use her as your errand girl. Hey, Kim, you've got a driver's license, right?
I do, but…
Wow, Mitchell, what a great idea. I mean, someone with just a high school diploma can't possibly handle product planning, right?
Charlotte gave me a once-over, then clapped her hands dramatically, letting out a laugh that was anything but ladylike. This isn't why I wanted to join the product planning department to endure humiliation like this. Their cruel words brought tears to my eyes, but I turned back to her, determined to do my job.
Charlotte, since this is a direct order from the CEO, I'll do my best to serve as your mentor. But as an employee of this company, I ask you to pay attention to your appearance and your language.
What are you talking about?
You're not a student anymore. That blouse is way too revealing. Also, please refrain from flashy nails and piercings. In this company, you need common sense, not academic background.
I didn't think I said anything wrong. However, those words seemed to light a fire under their already nasty attitudes.
Kim, who do you think you are? Do you even know who I am?
Yes, of course.
Then you know what happens if you try to tell me what to do, don't you? I can tell Daddy and get you fired.
Charlotte's cute, petite face contorted with anger, her eyes narrowing and her nostrils flaring.
Kim, apologize to Charlotte right now. You're just a high school graduate, and yet you've got the nerve to act like this? Only promising and competent people are allowed to join this department.
Mitchell loomed over me, looking just as unattractive as Charlotte in his fury.
Unbelievable. A high school grad daring to talk back. I'm going to be the next CEO, so don't forget that.
This is exactly why I hate high school grads. Charlotte, I'll make sure to have a serious talk with her later, so please don't be upset now.
I couldn't believe how those two endlessly kept repeating high school grad.
Mitchell, it's time for the meeting. Here are today's materials. Oh, by the way, I'm a high school graduate too.
A voice interrupted from behind, saving me from further insults. It was Ethan, one of my colleagues. He was tall, good-looking, and the most popular guy in the office. He was someone I admired. Ethan was a rising star in the company, trusted by Mr. Williams, and had a track record of turning his ideas into successful products. He was, without a doubt, the ace of the team.
Oh, is it that time already? Thanks, Ethan. As for you, you're a high school graduate who grew up overseas. That's like night and day compared to Kim here, right?
Mitchell took the opportunity to mock me further by comparing me to Ethan. After 10 years at this company, this was the most infuriating day I'd ever had.
Don't let it get to you, Kim.
If it weren't for Ethan's kind words, I might have lost it. The following week, on the day of the product planning meeting,
Kim, where are today's materials?
Mitchell's grating voice echoed through the office first thing in the morning. I wanted to cover my ears.
They're already prepared. I placed them on the table in the conference room.
Really? They're not there. That's why I'm asking.
Are you serious?
I really couldn't believe my ears. I distinctly remembered copying the materials with Charlotte the previous day, though she spent most of the time complaining.
It's the digital age. This is such a hassle.
She'd muttered while grudgingly helping me.
This is an important project. Relying solely on digital files is risky.
As Charlotte had refused to touch the copier because her fingers would get dirty, her fake nails were as flashy as ever.
Good morning.
Speak of the devil, Charlotte arrived, late as usual. It was a full 15 minutes after the start of the workday.
What time do you think it is? You're late.
Shut up. Old ladies who go to bed early and wake up early should just stay quiet.
She yawned loudly and plopped into her seat.
Seriously. Charlotte, I asked you to place the materials on the table first thing this morning, didn't I?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that.
Really?
Oh, wait, are you talking about those papers? I shredded them.
Are you kidding?
Kim, you told me yesterday, didn't you, to shred any unnecessary documents right away.
Excuse me? Those materials were essential for today's meeting.
Oops, my bad.
She did it on purpose. I was quite sure about that. Charlotte smirked, curling her lips into a sneer as she laughed through her nose. This was her way of retaliating for all the guidance I'd tried to provide her up to that point.
Kim, you can't even manage to prepare the materials? And now you're trying to blame Charlotte?
Mitchell yelled, his voice booming.
That's why they should have fired someone like you ages ago, a lowly high school graduate.
Charlotte chuckled maliciously next to him, clearly enjoying herself. I had to resist the urge to rip off her fake nails and lash extensions right then and there.
The meeting is postponed until tomorrow. This is frustrating. We're going out for drinks tonight. Everyone must attend.
Mitchell barked his orders like a dictator.
Kim, you better be there. This is your welcome party and also your reflection session.
He said so, glaring at me like he couldn't stand the sight of me.
Sure, I'm still looking forward to it, Mitchell. Just so you know, I can't stand this old lady. I'm not welcoming her at all. She needs to be put in her place.
Charlotte smirked with a mocking smile. During lunch, I couldn't eat anything and skipped the cafeteria. Instead, I sipped a sweet coffee in the break room. The coffee helped calm my tired brain and boiling anger, giving me a moment to think about how to deal with this nonsense.
Kim, got a minute?
It was Ethan, my colleague I admired. He sat next to me with a cup of black coffee, sharing some insights that lifted my spirits. That conversation gave me the energy I needed to face the evening's drink session. It also gave me a strategy, a way to turn the tables on Mitchell and Charlotte. With renewed determination, I finished my coffee in one gulp.
There's no seat for a high school graduate like you. You just eat standing.
Mitchell's mocking voice rang out at the bar.
Sure, understood.
Oh, since this is both your welcome party and reflection session, give your self-introduction and apology standing up.
What did you say?
You know, it's a rule in this department to do it in French. Though I doubt a high school grad like you could manage that.
Clearly, he wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. He forced me to give a speech and apology in French.
Okay, I understand.
I gave a slight smile to my seated colleagues and delivered a fluent speech in French.
What's going on?
Mitchell exclaimed.
How come?
Charlotte blurted.
You two didn't know that. Kim graduated from high school in France, just like I did.
Ethan explained with a proud smile, clapping. The other colleagues joined in, clapping along.
No way.
Charlotte and Mitchell both exclaimed in unison. Their faces contorted like they'd bitten into something sour.
By the way, Mitchell, didn't you also study in France?
Oh, yeah. Just for a little while.
Well then, could you place an order in French for us?
What? Fine, I'll do it.
Great. Please order the chicken tenders, garlic green beans, and mozzarella sticks.
I intentionally chose the simplest items on the menu out of pity. Or at least I thought I had, but Mitchell's French skills were beyond my imagination.
Oh, excuse me. Bâtons de Mazar. Well, Eric, vert soleil. And, oiseau frit, s'il vous plaît.
As he stumbled through the order, he left the restaurant staff baffled. He should have said poulet instead of oiseau. For someone who always bragged about being a college-educated elite, it was laughable. Everyone at the table, including me, burst into uncontrollable laughter.
Stop laughing. Don't laugh, damn it. Kim, Charlotte's glass is empty. You're so useless. That's why high school educated women are worthless.
It was clear Mitchell was lashing out because he was humiliated. He referred to me as a woman with such disdain. His insult backfired as the female employees began booing loudly.
Excuse me, Mitchell, but you told me to stand and eat, so I can't move from here.
I replied firmly.
What's going on here? Why on earth were you told to stand and eat, Kim?
A voice suddenly cut through the tension as the door opened.
Why? Why are you here, Mr. Williams?
Daddy, what are you doing here?
Mitchell and Charlotte were visibly panicking.
I was invited by Ethan. He said there's something important to discuss. But first, Kim, why are you standing?
Mr. Williams, the CEO, looked at me kindly as he asked.
That's because I'm a high school graduate. I was ordered to stand and eat since I don't deserve a seat.
As I answered honestly, his expression darkened as he turned to Mitchell.
In that case, you don't deserve a seat either. You're a high school graduate too, aren't you? You should eat standing.
Ugh.
Mitchell's face turned pale, and he immediately stood stiffly at attention. Everyone else in the room exchanged stunned glances at Mr. Williams's words. I hesitantly spoke up.
Excuse me, sir, but I was told Mitchell graduated at the top of his class from an elite university and was personally recruited by the former CEO.
Ah, Mitchell, lying isn't going to help you. It'll just destroy your credibility with your team. I was the one who interviewed you. The former CEO, that is my father, rejected your application.
Ugh.
The only reason you got hired later is because you begged for a second chance, and the executive director gave you a break as a mid-career hire.
Ah, thank you for the opportunity.
Mitchell mumbled, his academic fraud exposed.
So that's why he couldn't even say chicken tenders in French. This is hilarious.
Charlotte laughed hysterically, and in the commotion, she tried to link arms with Ethan. Without missing a beat, Ethan gently but firmly pulled his arm away and said to her,
Charlotte, that's not the only thing Mitchell has been lying to you about.
What do you mean?
The reason I invited Mr. Williams tonight is to reveal the truth. Please listen to this recording. These are recordings shared by employees who've suffered in this company.
Ethan pulled out a palm-sized voice recorder, his weapon, from his chest pocket, sitting in the center of the room to ensure everyone could hear, and he pressed play. Mr. Williams and everyone else leaned in, holding their breath.
You don't get it, do you? How many times do I have to tell you? Who do you think I am? If it weren't for the products I design, you wouldn't even have a job, let alone a paycheck.
This is something Mitchell said to a younger factory employee. Next, listen to this.
You guys barely do any real work, yet somehow you still get hungry. When you're done eating, clear out quickly, would you? You're all just a bunch of freeloaders.
This was harassment directed at employees, and here's something he said to a female member of the PR team.
Hey, Sarah, you've been looking really pretty lately. My wife and I are separated, you know. Why don't you come over to my place? What? I'm not joking. I'm serious. I've always had a thing for girls like you. I really like you. Mwah.
Beep. Ethan hit the pause button, and a chorus of gasps and cries of disgust erupted from the group. Employees sitting near Mitchell scooted their chairs away, inching away from him. Standing where I was, I felt chills run down my spine and I had goosebumps. If I asked Mitchell what the French word for that was, he'd probably use the word meaning goose, which is wrong. Or maybe bird bumps. Who knows?
This isn't my voice, Ethan. Do you have any proof that this is me?
Even then, Mitchell was trying to deny it.
Well, Ethan?
Mr. Williams's eyes shifted between Ethan and Mitchell, waiting for the truth to surface. Ethan, looking calm and confident, pressed play again with a sly grin. The creepy Mitchell stood there, his legs trembling uncontrollably. It was obvious just by looking at them who was telling the truth, yet Mr. Williams tilted his head in thought. Ethan smirked and pressed the play button on the recorder once again.
There's no seat for a high school graduate like you. You just eat standing. Excuse me. Batus de Mazar. Well, Harikets verts a lale. And, wasso frit, s'il vous plaît.
This is Mitchell's voice from tonight. It's unmistakably the same, isn't it? Everyone here can attest to that.
When Ethan said smugly, the entire group nodded in agreement. Even the restaurant staff, who had come over to take additional orders, stifled laughter, their shoulders shaking. There was no escaping this, but I decided to deliver the finishing blow.
After a thorough investigation, it's clear you've harassed employees and lied about your academic background. I will report this directly to Mr. Williams.
Are you serious? Oh, man.
Mitchell seemed defeated and slumped in resignation.
Mitchell, this is disappointing.
Mr. Williams said so as he reached out to take the voice recorder from Ethan as evidence. At that moment, another eruption occurred.
You lied to me too. You said I was the only one you cared about. And now I find out you've been hitting on Sarah in PR?
The explosion came from Charlotte. Her manicured fingers looked ready to claw at Mitchell's face. It seemed she was more upset about his flirting than his falsified academic credentials. We all stared at her in stunned silence. She was crying that she would never want to break up. She had poor taste in men. However, Mr. Williams seemed to understand his daughter better than anyone, and his method of scolding her revealed just how fed up he was.
Charlotte, of all people, why would you fall for a guy like this? I didn't raise you to make such poor choices. Mitchell's punishment will be decided in the upcoming board meeting.
With those words, he left the restaurant, taking his sobbing daughter with him. From a distance, Mitchell glared and chugged his drink. It was utter chaos. A few days later, Mitchell's punishment was announced. He was demoted and transferred to a factory at one of the company's remote locations. At the same time, his wife, fed up with him, filed for divorce. Considering all the awful things this man had done, it felt like poetic justice. However, something completely unexpected happened. Apparently, Charlotte decided to follow him to the remote town. Despite the massive age gap, it seemed they were headed for marriage. Naturally, Mr. Williams was furious. He cut all ties with Charlotte, declaring that she was no longer his daughter. Both Charlotte and Mitchell were consumed by their pride. I could only imagine how conspicuous they must be in that small-town setting. Well, I hope they at least get along with each other. Meanwhile, being told to eat standing inspired me to start thinking about one-handed foods, such as churros, crepes, steamed buns, or skewered treats. They are convenient and popular in tourist spots and amusement parks.
Ethan, wouldn't it be interesting if pubs offered buffet-style dining with one-handed foods?
That could be great for company gatherings.
Right? Younger employees probably hate sitting next to their bosses for hours. It'd be nice if they could grab food casually. To eat standing means they wouldn't even have to return to their seats.
Chicken tender skewers would be perfect.
Or should I say was au frit?
For the first time in a while, I found myself laughing during work, my nerves finally easing. With the difficult manager gone, the department became an amazing place to work. I was thoroughly enjoying my role in the product planning department, just as I had always hoped. And then, 1 year later, at a company gathering, Ethan confessed his feelings for me and we started dating. 6 months after that, he proposed with a playful line.
I want to eat your wasso frit forever.
It looks like I'll finally graduate from being Kimmy from home soon.